On the way back from a funeral, the lights suddenly flickered, terrifying the group of young people. Those with a guilty conscience were scared to death and started screaming. Right then the lights went out completely. A creepy woman appeared, looking at the screaming crowd with eyes full of hatred. She told them they couldn't run and that she would make them all pay. Then her face twisted and became ghostly. The story goes back 2 years. The main character, Rinlani, was an orphan. Because she was poor, she was often bullied at school. One day, right after she finished a phone call, a group of classmates kept looking at her strangely. Apparently, being beautiful is a crime. Some guys grabbed her and started flirting disrespectfully, asking her weird questions and wanting her to hang out with them. Terrified, Rinlani ran to the pool area. She saw flyers scattered everywhere. Curiously, she picked one up and was shocked to see a picture of a girl in skimpy clothes offering services. The problem was that someone had photoshopped her face onto the image and even put a price on it. Suddenly, a pair of hands grabbed her tightly. The man was Tun Lathap. He had come looking for her after seeing the flyer. He had wanted Rinlani for a long time, and seeing the information on the flyer made him so happy he rushed over. But Rinlani definitely didn't do this. She pushed Tun Lathap away and ran, but he caught her again before she could get far. Luckily, Fa and a classmate showed up just in time and threatened to tell his coach, which stopped his disgusting behavior. Rinlani had a best friend named Champu. Champu came from a rich family. Even though their backgrounds were very different, it didn't stop them from being best friends. That day, Champu was performing on stage for the first time. She was incredibly nervous and anxious. To help her calm down, Rinlani took out a dancing Buddha statue she had kept for years and put it in her hand. She said the statue always brought her luck, and she was giving it to her now, hoping the performance would go smoothly. Just then, the dance teacher came to rush Champu to finish her makeup. Then she spoke to Fa, who had just arrived, telling them both to go to the prop room to get the Chada hat. However, the room where the Chada hat was kept was a very scary place, linked to a legend about a ghost, so everyone was afraid to go there. Shortly after entering, Fa was scared to death. When she turned around, she was startled by a security guard who had a face even more square than hers. Legend says that decades ago, 2 best friends danced together. They were inseparable every day and always performed together on stage. When they danced, they were as beautiful as 2 fairies. Unfortunately, one day during a performance, a light fixture fell from the ceiling and hit one of them, killing her instantly. Furthermore, the legend says that dancers who die during a performance will die with their eyes open and haunt the place they loved. The dance she was performing at that time was the Chada hat dance. The dancer who passed away was the senior of the current dance teacher. Fa curiously asked why they had to keep the Chada hat since everyone found it so scary. The teacher said the hat was an antique with immeasurable value and meaning, and they couldn't throw it away just because of meaningless rumors. Rinlani felt the flower garland was a bit old and planned to replace it with a new one, but Champu, fearing the legend, told her not to just change it. Rinlani said she had no bad intentions and just wanted to make it look prettier. When she took the garland off, an uninvited guest named Lada appeared. She accused Rinlani of seducing her boyfriend, Tun Lathap, and came to settle the score, intending to teach her a lesson. Champu, the good friend, stepped in to protect her but was pushed hard by Lada. She accidentally touched the old garland, making it fall to the ground. Just as Champu was about to be pushed down again and almost stepped on the garland, a ghostly hand protected the flowers and pushed her aside. At this point, the dance teacher heard the noise and ran over to stop them. Because of this, Champu's hand was injured, and she couldn't perform. Hongdat immediately volunteered, saying she could perform in Champu's place. Rinlani also noticed the garland was gone. Just as she was about to look for it, she was told the performance had started, so the whole group had to leave. Hongdat saw the old garland on the ground, picked it up and put it in a box. Right before she went on stage, the teacher asked Rinlani if she had replaced the garland on the head. This memory took the teacher back to the past. Her best friend once said the old garland was a gift from her boyfriend to wear while performing, and though her boyfriend was gone, she would always wear it. The teacher told Rinlani to remember to put the garland back, or the owner would worry. Rinlani said she would. In the end, Rinlani forgot to do it. After saying goodbye to the teacher, a pair of legs appeared behind her. Truly, you shouldn't walk alone at night, or you'll never know what is following you. You must be careful on the road at night. While the chance of meeting a ghost isn't high, the chance of meeting a bad person is. Luckily, the male lead, Tae Chin, drove by and saw her. He quickly got out to play the hero, successfully saving Rinlani and driving away. They officially met, but it turned out Tae Chin had seen her at the performance that day. Moreover, this girl often appeared in his dreams, so he had specifically drawn a picture of her. Tae Chin and Champu were childhood friends. Both families were very wealthy and of the same social status, so the parents had arranged an engagement for them long ago. However, Tae Chin didn't seem to care about his fiancée. The next day, Rinlani realized her phone was missing. While she was worrying, her friend arrived and told her the phone had been found. It turned out that after Tae Chin saved her the night before, the phone had accidentally fallen in his car. Just like that, their fate began to unfold. Tae-chin even thoughtfully drove her to her part-time job. As soon as Rinlani arrived at the shop, a colleague told her a VIP had requested her to perform. This person was E-Carrot, a rich, arrogant, and wild guy who thought he could use money to chase Rinlani. Rinlani threw the bouquet of roses he brought onto the ground. She didn't need that fake love. E-Carrot was very angry. Since birth he had always gotten what he wanted and never met a woman he couldn't have. Then Lada came to give him advice. If money doesn't work, then pretend to be a nice guy to win her over. Lada sought out Rinlani and pretended to be close to her. Rinlani was completely off guard and was tricked, believing they had actually felt guilty and changed their ways. On the other hand, to get closer to the girl of his dreams, Tae-chin intentionally invited Rinlani to perform at his father's birthday party. When Tae-chin took Rinlani home, his mother curiously asked why she made a living by dancing at such a young age. Rinlani honestly said she was an orphan and relied on part-time jobs to support herself. Hearing this, the mother looked down on Rinlani from the bottom of her heart. Rinlani also knew her status didn't match Tae-chin's, so she tried to keep her distance and carefully hide the love in her heart. Because she forgot to find the old garland for the Chada hat, Rinlani had a strange dream that night. She saw the missing garland fall right at her feet. When she picked it up, something even stranger happened. The scene was terrifying. Weak hearts, please be careful. Turned out to be just a dream. Rinlani quickly apologized to the ghost, saying she would find the garland. Champu came to find her, saying today was the birthday of someone very important to her, and she wanted Rinlani to go gift shopping with her. It turned out that person was Tae-chin. Rinlani even teased her friend, saying she must be choosing a gift for a boyfriend to be so careful. On Tae-chin's father's birthday, Tae-chin boldly confessed his feelings to Rinlani. He wanted to introduce her to his parents as his girlfriend. Rinlani felt his sincerity. They looked at each other, smiled, and hugged. While Rinlani was performing on stage, her best friend Champu unexpectedly arrived. Rinlani immediately realized the important person Champu mentioned was Tae-chin. Once she knew Tae-chin was her friend's fiancé, Rinlani started avoiding him. She even proactively approached E-Carrot and had Fa tell Tae-chin that she was dating E-Carrot. After hearing this, Tae-chin turned around and left in disappointment. Rinlani stood by the window watching him go, tears falling uncontrollably. Because Rinlani hadn't replaced the senior's old garland, the senior haunted her day and night. Finally, E-Carrot found it and gave it back to her. The senior stopped bothering her, and she was able to escape that situation. But she was about to face even bigger trouble. That day it rained, and E-Carrot pretended to take her home but tricked her into going to a male dormitory, claiming the heavy rain made the roads difficult. Rinlani had to agree but only dared to sit on the sofa by the door to wait. E-Carrot's accomplice gave Rinlani a bottle of water that had been drugged. Rinlani didn't know and drank it all. Just as Rinlani was losing consciousness, luckily Tae-chin called her and woke her up. She begged Tae-chin to save her and rushed outside. At this point, E-Carrot realized she was gone, and the group quickly searched for her. When Rinlani was lost and didn't know where to hide, Tun Lathep happened to open a door. Rinlani begged him for help, but since the lamb had come to his door, how could he let her go? Luckily, Rinlani kicked him in his private parts and managed to escape. Tae-chin also arrived just in time and successfully saved her. Afterward, Rinlani didn't want to make a big deal of it and planned to let it go, but Tae-chin insisted on calling the police. Later, E-Carrot was featured on the front page of entertainment news. The media continuously reported on his behavior. E-Carrot said he had powerful connections to handle everything. The police told Rinlani to provide evidence, or everything would be useless. Rinlani then went to Tun Lathep, asking him to testify. On the outside, he agreed to testify, but on the condition that she would have to do what he asked. Rinlani had no choice but to agree. With his help, no matter how strong E-Carrot's connections were, he couldn't change the fact that he was expelled. Very soon after, Tun Lathep called Rinlani to demand his reward. He had helped her with such a big matter, so it was time for her to repay him. Rinlani went to the meeting point, but he demanded that she let him take provocative photos of her. Rinlani strongly refused, and seeing this, he tried to get physical. To escape, Rinlani took the chance to stab and wound him. In the end, the group discussed giving Rinlani a lesson. Tae-chin also went to find Rinlani. After he confessed his love, Rinlani finally gathered the courage to face her feelings and hugged him. Unable to bear the guilt, she cried to Fa, saying she shouldn't have stolen Champu's boyfriend. Fa said love has no right or wrong, but she had to tell Champu the truth. Maybe she would be forgiven. Have you ever met such a cruel woman? Just because Rinlani loved her son, she set fire to the orphanage. She warned Rinlani that this was just a small lesson, and if she kept seeing Tae-chin, Rinlani's friends would also be in danger. Champu thoughtfully took Rinlani home to sleep, feeling sorry that Rinlani always faced bad luck. Just then Rinlani's phone rang. Champu curiously answered it. Tae-chin said he would take Rinlani to live in America. It turned out Rinlani and the man she loved were together. When Lada told Champu before, Champu had defended Rinlani like a fool. Now it seems she was the one being laughed at. During practice, she really couldn't stand Rinlani's deception and ran out. She didn't understand why Rinlani betrayed their friendship. At that moment, she spotted E-S group and overheard their plan to teach Rinlani a lesson on the day of the performance. Soon, the day of the performance arrived. Because of Rinlani's betrayal, Champu was still hesitant about whether to tell Rinlani about the plan, but she still returned the lucky Buddha statue to her. Meanwhile, Taechin suddenly felt uneasy because the watch Rinlani gave him cracked. He rushed out and drove to find her. After the performance ended, Rinlani wanted to tell Champu the truth, but a phone call interrupted them. The ring Taechin used to propose to Rinlani fell out of her bag, which broke Champu's heart. Knowing that her love had proposed to her best friend, she ran away in anger. While she was grieving, Lotta found her and wanted Champu to help find a phone in a car. At the same time, Hongdat told Rinlani that Champu had fainted in the restroom. When Rinlani rushed there without suspicion, she realized she had been tricked. Just as she tried to escape, a masked man grabbed her, knocked her out, and carried her away. On her way back, Champu noticed something was wrong and saw Rinlani being carried off right before her eyes, but she said nothing and turned to run away. However, when she picked up the dancing Buddha statue, she couldn't be so heartless. Her conscience kicked in, and Champu rushed to follow them. At that moment, Taechin also arrived, but he missed the car carrying Rinlani and accidentally hit Champu while she was chasing them. He really messed everything up. Champu weakly said to save Rinlani, but no one heard her. Taechin got out and realized the person he hit was Champu, and the impact was very strong. Rinlani was taken by E-S group to a remote area. They beat her until she was bruised. They originally just wanted to teach her a lesson, but E-Carrot ended up choking her to death. They were afraid of being caught, so they decided to bury Rinlani. Hongdat saw Rinlani's ring and greedily took it. Surprisingly, Rinlani had a brief moment of consciousness and woke up, begging the guy in front of her to spare her. But he was afraid of E-Carrot's anger, so he chose to bury Rinlani alive anyway. Rinlani swore that if she died and her soul didn't vanish, she would have her revenge. Finally, she died in bitter hatred. Have you heard that the soul of the dead returns home after 3 days? Where will the orphan girl Rinlani go after death? Before she died, she swore to take revenge on those who killed her. Afterward, strange things kept happening to those people. Rinlani's shadow was always lingering around them. Out of desperation, they went to the place where Rinlani died. E-Carrot took out a jar of black dog blood, saying this was the way to keep Rinlani's ghost from ever finding peace. That night, he took out a paper and read a spell at Rinlani's burial site. Then he pasted a red talisman up high, hammered a nail into the ground, and sprinkled the black dog blood. Strange things started to happen. After finishing these steps, E-Carrot said Rinlani's soul would be trapped underground forever, and wouldn't appear to scare anyone anymore. That night, 2 security guards walked by. Rinlani turned into a human and begged them to help her tear off the red talisman. The 2 were drunk and didn't know they were helping a ghost. When they fell to the ground, they saw Rinlani's true face and ran away in terror. Fa, Rinlani's friend, always thought she and Taechin had gone to America, so she didn't look for her. Because Taechin hit Champu and she needed treatment abroad, he was forced by his parents to go with her. They were gone for 2 years. After Champu's wounds healed, she only lost her memories of Rinlani. After returning to the country, to help Champu recover her memory, Taechin asked Lotta to invite their college classmates for a meal. During the conversation, Champu mentioned Rinlani's name, which startled the others. E-Carrot calmly lied, saying Rinlani had gotten married and had children. He said he had seen her recently and she looked very happy. Taechin was stunned and couldn't believe it. That day, while driving home, Taechin's car was led by a mysterious force to a certain place. After getting out, he suddenly liked the environment there and took out his phone to take pictures. Rinlani's ghost appeared right beside him. Suddenly, an old man appeared and asked why he entered without saying hello. He said he felt enchanted by the place. The old man said if he liked it, he should buy it because the house was very cheap. Hearing this, Taechin was happy and asked for a repair shop because his car was broken. The old man insisted the car wasn't broken and told him to leave quickly. Just as he took a few steps and turned back to ask more questions, the old man had vanished. That man took a liking to an old house and planned to buy it as a new home, not knowing that his girlfriend's body was buried right under his feet. Meanwhile, she hovered near him, but he couldn't see her. Taechin went back and asked his best friend, Chat, to look into the price of the house. Chat warned him that the house was haunted, but Taechin mocked him for being superstitious. That night, Taechin remembered E-Carrot saying Rinlani was married. His parents came to talk about the wedding with Champu, and he didn't refuse anymore, but he had one condition. He had to choose their new home. He bought the haunted house and became obsessed with fixing it up every day. At this time, Rinlani appeared beside him. They looked at each other and smiled. He even naturally rested his head on Rinlani's lap, discussing how to decorate the new house. Rinlani looked at the pavilion in front and told Taechin to tear it down. Taechin said he really liked that pavilion. Rinlani suddenly became aggressive, demanding that he must tear it down for her. Suddenly, he was woken up by a voice. It was Chat looking for him. While he was still searching for Rinlani's shadow, Chat teased him, asking why he was still dreaming about his ex when he was about to get married. But he said the dream felt too real, like Rinlani was right there. Champu came to bring food for the workers. Chat advised Tae-chin to cherish the person in front of him and keep the past in his memories. People need to move forward, especially since he was marrying Champu. So he took Champu outside and apologized, saying he bought the house without asking her and hoped she'd forgive his selfish act. Champu was understanding and forgave him, saying she agreed with whatever he did. Rinlani could only stand there watching them with eyes full of rage. Tae-chin held Champu's hand and proposed to her. Rinlani witnessed this and screamed in anger. At that moment, Chat told Tae-chin that a worker was possessed. The worker looked at Tae-chin and started acting strange, performing a graceful dance. The movements and the choreography were familiar. After finishing, he even asked Tae-chin if he danced well. Tae-chin just wanted to punch him. The worker then called out Champu's name and became violent, pushing Tae-chin and grabbing Champu's neck. Luckily, Chat took a protective amulet from his neck and put it on the worker, saving them. After being terrified by the worker, Champu's family heard about it and thought the old house was the problem. They told Tae-chin, who didn't believe in ghost stories, that he had to hold a ceremony to put Champu's mind at ease. Meanwhile, Champu talked about the old house with her friends. They curiously asked where she bought it. Champu excitedly opened her iPad to show them pictures. As soon as they saw it, they were scared to death. Wasn't that the place where they killed Rinlani 2 years ago? And Rinlani's body was buried right under that old pavilion. The group went to find Tunlathap. Carrot didn't beat around the bush and stated their purpose. Someone had bought the old house where they buried the body, and they wanted to discuss what to do. But Tunlathap believed that the red talisman seal was still there, so the ghost couldn't get out. On the day of the ritual, a sorcerer led the two families in a ceremony, asking the ghosts there to forgive their sins and their disturbance. But when Champu finished her prayer and was about to light the incense, Rinlani's ghostly hand knocked it away. She then possessed Champu, leading her to a pillar where she repeatedly slammed her head. Tae-chin rushed to stop Champu. She hit her head until it bled and fainted in his arms, then was rushed to the hospital. Afterward, the two families didn't think much of it, assuming Champu just hadn't recovered her health yet. Tae-chin went back to the old house to clean the blood. When he looked at the red talisman above, it was as if he heard Rinlani's voice begging him to tear it off. Like he lost his soul, he ordered the workers to tear it down. The workers quickly dismantled the pavilion, and the piece of wood with the red talisman was taken away to be burned. Rinlani's ghost was finally free, and the first thing she did was go to see Tae-chin. Tae-chin was stunned when he saw her. He followed her ghost down to the basement. They hugged each other, but before they could talk, Rinlani vanished, leaving behind a handkerchief embroidered with her name. When he woke up, he realized it was all a dream, but the actual handkerchief on the floor made him feel like it wasn't he. Tae-chin went home, his mind completely on Rinlani. Even when his fiancée Champu was discharged from the hospital, he didn't pick her up. He even said he wouldn't get married until he cleared this matter up. Rinlani's ghost floated to Fa's place, but no matter how she called out, they couldn't see or hear her. She wanted to find the man she loved, but was blocked by a Buddha statue at the temple gate and couldn't enter. Becoming a lonely ghost, she could only fly up into a tree and cry. After crying, she went to the temple to continue crying. At the temple, a monk heard the crying and followed the sound. He saw Rinlani sitting on the ground, crying bitterly. She complained to the monk about why her loved one and friends couldn't see her. The monk said Rinlani and they were in two different worlds. Rinlani curiously asked why she could talk to her loved one yesterday. The monk explained that yesterday was the ghost festival, the only chance for spirits to meet humans. Other than that day, they couldn't meet people from the other world. The monk advised Rinlani to move on to her next life soon, but she refused. Having been sealed and suffering for years, Rinlani wanted those who killed her to pay the price. At first, Champu's parents didn't believe in ghost legends, but on the way home that night, their driver saw Rinlani's ghost and then saw a handprint left on the car window. They had no choice but to believe it. The next day, Tae-chin went to the temple to pray for blessings. The monk gave him some cryptic words. As long as your faith is strong and you pray well, the person you want to meet will surely come back to find you. Tae-chin only half understood but still followed the monk's words, silently praying that the good deed he did today could bring Rinlani back to his side, so they could be together forever. Sure enough, Tae-chin's sincere prayer made Rinlani appear. The next day, he actually met the Rinlani he had been longing for. Tae-chin thought Rinlani was married, but she reassured him that she was still herself and hadn't changed. Hearing that, Tae-chin laughed with joy. Suddenly, a white car approached. It turned out to be Hung, the manipulative girl. Rinlani also saw her and knew the chance for revenge had come. Taking advantage of the moment Tae-chin wasn't looking, she immediately followed her. Hung felt a cold chill from behind. When she turned around, she saw Rinlani in the form of a terrifying ghost. But no matter how hard she tried, Lani couldn't touch her body. Tae-chin then went home and told his parents straight out that he wanted to postpone the wedding, but his mother immediately refused. She said there was no reason to stop the wedding. He had to temporarily accept it. That day, Lani and Tae-chin went back to the orphanage. The friends there finally met Lani again after 2 years. The group went to eat at a mall. There were clearly 4 people, but the server insisted there were only 3 and only prepared 3 sets of utensils, making the friends sigh in confusion. While everyone was chatting happily, Lani spotted one of the people who killed her Tunlathep. Hatred screamed like a monster in her mind. She made an excuse to go to the restroom and quietly followed him. Can you believe a shameless man like him? He clearly has a girlfriend but still claims to be single on social media. Even women would want to punch him. Back to Lani, she went to find Tunlathep to take her revenge. Just as she was about to strike, the amulet he was wearing repelled her, making her back away in pain. But Lani didn't plan on letting him off that easy. She declared that today was the day Tunlathep would definitely die. Even though he always kept that amulet for protection, Tunlathep panicked and threw it at Lani. Despite the pain spreading through her whole body, she lunged forward and covered his eyes. At that critical moment, luckily, the monk arrived just in time and started chanting, stopping the tragedy from happening. Tae-chin went to look for Lani and found that she was injured. On the way to the hospital, for some reason they ended up at the old house. While he was helping Lani bandage her wound, he noticed it healed incredibly fast, but he didn't think too much about it. The two of them reminisced about old memories together. If it hadn't been for that car accident back then, maybe Lani's fate wouldn't be like this. Then the two of them couldn't hold back and shared an intimate moment that's hard to put into words. Sadly, this relationship goes against the natural order of things. The next day, Tae-chin was surprised that Lani didn't go to the market, but still managed to prepare a delicious meal. Her ability to adapt was getting better and better. Tae-chin promised he would call off the engagement and stay with her. But as soon as he said that, a call came in from Champu. Champu asked when Tae-chin would have time to try on his wedding suit. Tae-chin avoided the topic and set a time to meet Champu in person. Meanwhile, Champu was happily trying on wedding dresses when she got Tae-chin's call, setting a meeting for tomorrow at noon. A woman's intuition told Champu that this call definitely had something to do with the wedding. She thought about sending him a photo but ended up sadly deleting it. When Champu was waiting for Tae-chin to show up, he didn't appear. Instead, Lani walked up. Lani grabbed Champu's hand, trying to help her regain the memories she had lost before her amnesia. The moment their hands touched, all the past memories suddenly flooded back into Champu's mind. When she tried to pull her hand away from Lani, she was held tight. Looking at those hands, she screamed in terror and ran away. When Tae-chin arrived, he saw Champu was emotionally out of control, so he decided not to mention the breakup for now. The shock was so great that Champu's old illness flared up, and she had to be taken to the hospital. At this point, Lani's ghost was about to give the young master and Chada a push, but the monk's voice rang out. He warned her that if she did that, it would shorten the time she could spend with Tae-chin. Lani didn't understand why the monk was stopping her. The monk explained that if she kept going down this path, she would never be able to be with the one she loved, whether in this life or the next. Because she wanted to be with Tae-chin, Lani vowed she was ready to let go of her hatred. After Champu's relapse and hospitalization, Tae-chin's mother was convinced it had something to do with him. She arranged for a servant to stay at his place to take care of him, but really it was to spy on everything he did. On the other hand, Chada intentionally invited Tae-chin out to eat, but arranged for reporters to take secret photos. Because she also had feelings for him, she wanted to step in and ruin his wedding with Champu. Right after that, someone sent the photos to Champu. Tae-chin went to see Champu to explain that there was nothing between him and Chada. Champu questioned whether he even wanted the wedding to happen. Tae-chin honestly told her that he only saw her as a sister, not a lover. Heartbroken, Champu accepted calling off the engagement. Tae-chin and Lani were playing around in the room, and a servant was secretly listening. But when Lani showed herself, the servant ran away in fear. She went back and told Tae-chin's mother that he was hiding a beautiful woman in his room, and that this was why he canceled the wedding. However, that room seemed very strange. After being scared to death by Lani's ghost, these people went to a sorcerer for help. The sorcerer said Lani was the strongest ghost he had ever met, but currently, she couldn't find the item she loved most when she was alive. Once she got it, her power would be limitless. This immediately made Hong remember the ring she had snatched from Lani's hand before, causing her to panic. She was afraid that if that ring was Lani's prized possession, things would get ugly. When she reopened the ring box, it was gone, and she suspected her scheming father had taken it. However, he kept denying it. Fearing that Lani's ghost would come for revenge, she had to confess to everyone that she had stolen the ring. When she got home, she saw her father counting money and realized the ring had been sold to a jewelry shop. Coincidentally, the shop owner was robbed, and while running away, 2 security guards caught the thief and kept the ring for themselves. When the group went to the shop, Hongdot had forgotten what the ring looked like, so she bought a similar-looking one and destroyed it. The villains finally faced some bad luck. Tae-chin's mother heard from the servant that Rin Lani and her son were involved, so she went to the orphanage to cause trouble for Rin Lani's friends. Rin Lani felt it and appeared to give her a small lesson. Later, fearing she would create more bad karma, she asked Tae-chin to bring burn medicine to his mother. Gradually, Tae-chin told his friend that Rin Lani seemed to have the ability to see the future. That evening, Tae-chin took Rin Lani to a restaurant for dinner. Rin Lani noticed her strength was fading, so she quietly left without saying a word. Tae-chin rushed after her, but in the blink of an eye, she had vanished. While she was lost and didn't know what to do, she suddenly felt the presence of her prized possession. The two guards were taking the ring to sell it. Rin Lani appeared and threatened the shop owner to hand over the ring, making him run away in fear. But she couldn't touch the physical object. Luckily, the dance teacher appeared at that moment. Rin Lani used her captivating and hypnotic gaze to persuade the teacher. The teacher obediently bent down and picked the ring up off the ground. In a night of rain and lightning, Rin Lani and the teacher performed a ghostly crown dance together. When the dance ended, the teacher helped Rin Lani put the ring back on. Immediately, Rin Lani felt her power return. That night, Rin Lani felt someone nearby calling for help. Out of kindness, she couldn't ignore it and stepped in to help. But unexpectedly, the person was too weak. Just bumping into a tree caused him to die instantly, and she suffered a backlash. Rin Lani suddenly remembered the monk's warning not to create karma, or she would lose her chance to be with her lover. The monk had told her that every time she did something bad, her body would disappear, and the ring she wore would give her more power while messing with her mind, making her remember the painful memories of her life and fueling her hate. He told her to control the terrifying power inside her. Tae-chin's parents asked him to bring the woman hiding at the old house home. He naively thought they had agreed to let them get married, so he rushed to tell Rin Lani and promised to take her to meet his parents. When Tae-chin drove to the front gate, Rin Lani saw the Buddha statue and screamed for him to stop, then asked him to say, "Let me and her enter together." Although he thought it was weird, Tae-chin did it. As soon as he spoke, the barrier disappeared. Even as a ghost, a bride has to meet the in-laws. Tae-chin's mother asked about their plans, and he said they planned to get married. Then, she used the excuse of giving a gift to pull Rin Lani aside for a private talk. When they were alone, she immediately changed her attitude, stating that the only daughter-in-law she would accept was Champu. She threatened Rin Lani to stay away from her son, and was ready to offer anything from jewelry to money. Since Rin Lani was now a ghost, she wasn't afraid anymore. She declared she would never leave Tae-chin. The mother was just as tough, threatening to make her pay a high price. She offered her 5 million to take the money and leave her son. Anyone else might have agreed, but as a ghost, money wasn't what she needed. So Tae-chin's mother locked Rin Lani in a dark room. More strange things happened. A fat girl was surprised to see the old house she lived in every day was now full of dust as if it had been abandoned for a long time. When she opened the door, everything inside was in ruins. As she got closer to a table, Rin Lani felt it and appeared, making the room return to normal. The fat girl was scared pale and ran away. At the same time, a guard couldn't see Rin Lani in the room, but when he unlocked the door, he saw her standing right there. Thinking she was teasing him, he stepped in and slapped her. Rin Lani couldn't control her power and pushed one of the guards down, killing him on the spot. The other one ran out to call for help but didn't make it. He died right then and there. Tae-chin's mother thought the guards had let Rin Lani go on purpose, so she went to the old house to ask the servants if they had seen her. The servants said they saw no one, not even a fly. The lady didn't believe it and walked in to find Rin Lani sitting outside. However, the servants couldn't see anything. She walked up and slapped Rin Lani. Rin Lani still hoped to use her sincerity to win her over, kneeling to beg for her acceptance, but the lady was cold and kept putting on pressure. Right then she got a call saying the 2 guards were dead. She was shocked and immediately concluded that Rin Lani was a murderer. But when she saw Rin Lani show her true form, she screamed in panic. Tae-chin had just returned, and a servant told him the lady was in the room. Just as she was running away in fear, she slipped, hit her head against the wall and passed away. Or rather, she fainted. Tae-chin happened to see her fall on her own. When she woke up, she realized she couldn't move or speak. Rin Lani went to the hospital to visit her. She could only signal with her eyes to try and reveal the secrets in her heart. Champu also came to visit, and when she found out about Rin Lani and Tae-chin, she was calm and honestly wished them well. But Rin Lani still misunderstood that Champu had watched the kidnapping without saving her, so she still held a grudge. Rin Lani's ghost was going to let her killers go, but because someone kept bothering her, she had to appear to teach them a lesson. That man still smugly believed Rin Lani couldn't hurt him. Right then, Rin Lani held up the ring on her hand and mocked that no matter where they were or what they did, she could kill them at any time. The man finally realized the fear and begged for his life. Rin Lani knew his goal was to steal her remains to take to the sorcerer to harm her. Just as she was about to strike, Tae-chin called out and woke the man up. He snapped out of the nightmare. As he was about to leave, He saw a familiar figure and asked the driver who it was. After asking around, he heard a shocking secret. A ghost could live with humans. Terrified, he ran away. The man went back and immediately met the sorcerer, telling him the horror story of a ghost living with a person. The sorcerer was stunned for a few seconds, then said maybe no one knew the woman had died. The man sighed and muttered that he couldn't believe the woman who was so gentle when alive could be so scary as a ghost. The sorcerer explained it was likely because this ghost carried both intense love and hatred, making her different from others. The man came to the sorcerer because he wanted to use black magic to deal with Rinlani. The sorcerer told him to find something Rinlani was close to when she was alive. After hearing the man's story, the sorcerer confirmed that a ghost like Rinlani was exactly what he was looking for. The man said he couldn't get her personal item. The sorcerer said he would handle it himself and asked the man to cooperate. He promised they would make a huge amount of money later. The man was scared and didn't want anything more to do with the ghost. The sorcerer reassured him that as long as he stayed there, he'd be fine, and suggested he find Tae-chin to use the situation to demand money. Since then, Tae-chin kept getting strange calls, but each time he only heard half before the caller hung up. Today, the man called again and said this was about the death of his wife. Tae-chin thought the guy was a scammer and didn't plan to give him any more attention. While chatting with Chat, he mentioned this matter. After hearing it, Chat advised him that since it involved his life, he should look into it carefully. That night, Tae-chin received another call, but Rinlani already knew everything. Later, the man realized he had been tricked, and that the sorcerer only wanted to use him to make Rinlani appear. When he was about to punish the sorcerer, Rinlani arrived. Rinlani stepped forward and punished the sorcerer, easily breaking his arm. The man knelt down in fear and begged. Because she didn't want to create more bad karma, Rinlani spared him. But the man still didn't repent and secretly had someone slip a small note to a servant to give to Tae-chin. Before Tae-chin could read the content inside, Rinlani found out. This time she didn't have a soft heart anymore. She killed the evil sorcerer, and then made the man experience the feeling of being buried alive just like she had. It's true that pitiable people often have something to blame. That day, Champu and a few friends went to the old house to find Rinlani. Accidentally, Fa saw Rinlani's semi-transparent body, which made her suspicious. To clear up the doubt in her heart, she decided to go find a sorcerer. Even though she didn't meet the sorcerer, she happened to run into two security guards. They said they could use magic cards to help her with fortune-telling. Surprisingly, 3 times the same card was drawn. She then eavesdropped on the conversation of the two guards, and the meaning of that card was that the person she was looking for was no longer alive. Carrot pursued Champu but was rejected by her. He still invited her to perform at the grand opening of his hotel. Lacking confidence, Champu asked Rinlani to practice the dance with her. Rinlani specifically told her to bring the Buddha statue she had given her on the day of the performance. On the opening day, Lada and her group planned to buy a sedative and intended to secretly give it to Tae-chin. Rinlani felt their plan and immediately appeared at the hotel. This time she wouldn't spare those who had harmed her. Earlier, Rinlani reminded Champu to wear the Buddha statue not just for protection, but so she could possess Champu's body when necessary. That night, Carrot also invited an exorcist. As soon as he entered, the exorcist saw that Champu was being possessed by a ghost. When it came to the performance part, the exorcist stepped forward and asked Champu if she had recently touched anything unclean or gone anywhere strange. Champu was dazed and didn't answer, but he still noticed something unusual. The exorcist took a magic branch, stuck it on Champu's forehead, and shouted a spell to expel the ghost from her body. Rinlani was knocked out of the hotel door. In the middle of the chaos, Lada took out the sedative and rubbed it on Tae-chin's hand, making him lose his mind. The exorcist told Carrot that Champu's body was too weak and easily possessed, then gave him the branch he just used, telling him to stick it around the hotel to keep the ghost from coming back. Lada took Tae-chin into a room, intending to do something dark. Meanwhile, Hongdot stood outside the door, both worried and impatient because she also wanted to find a way to snag a rich guy. When she saw the two inside getting closer to each other, she immediately called Lada's boyfriend over and pretended to be innocent, creating a dramatic scene. While on the way to settle the score with Lada, they happened to meet Tun Lathep. He knew very well that the man was Lada's violent boyfriend, so he quickly pulled out his phone to inform her. Lada had no choice but to quickly pack her clothes and run away in a mess, looking back with regret at the big cat she just lost. When they arrived, Lada had disappeared, and the man angrily ran out to search. At this point, Hongdot saw Tae-chin slumped on the floor and realized her chance. She quickly changed into some sexy clothes, intending to seal the deal with Tae-chin. Rinlani felt the danger Tae-chin was facing, but she was blocked by the sorcerer's magic barrier, only able to look in with worry. Luckily, while running away, Lada stepped on the magic branch, making the barrier vanish instantly. When Hongdot was about to take some shady photos as evidence, Rinlani's ghost appeared, scaring her so much that she didn't even have time to put her clothes back on and just ran out of the room for her life. Rinlani hugged Tae-chin and vowed to make those who hurt them pay a heavy price. On the same day, The group that harmed Rinlani received notice from the police that one of their accomplices had been killed in a very horrific way. On the night of his funeral, Chada kept touching his body, wanting to seduce him. Tae-chin looked at her with disgust and told Champu that he would wait for her in the car. After Tae-chin left, the lights started flickering constantly, followed by pitch-black darkness that made everyone scream. Rinlani's spirit appeared in traditional dance attire, threatening those who harmed her to pay with blood. When Tae-chin heard the noise and ran over, Champu had fainted on the ground. Actually, among these people, Champu was the most innocent one. If Rinlani hadn't hidden the fact that she was dating Tae-chin, when kidnapped, she would have only hesitated for a second, then still resolutely chased to save Rinlani. However, she was accidentally hit by Tae-chin's car, leading to her amnesia. Even in the moment she fainted, she weakly called out to save Rinlani. Threatened by Rinlani's spirit, the others ran away in fear. While the group was driving on the highway, their car suddenly started honking repeatedly, as if warning them about something. Carrot had to pull over to the side of the road and open the sunroof to see if anything was up there, but he saw nothing. Just as everyone breathed a sigh of relief, Rinlani's feet suddenly appeared, dangling from the roof, scaring them to death. Rinlani then possessed Carrot and slammed on the gas, determined to make these people pay with their lives. Sensing the danger, the exorcist appeared in time, stopping Rinlani's crazy action. He just held his prayer beads tightly and muttered some words, and Rinlani turned into a cloud of black smoke and vanished. Then the exorcist gave everyone a protective amulet to carry with them. Thanks to the amulet, Hongdot wanted to use the photos taken at the hotel the other day to blackmail Tae-chin. But whatever she did couldn't escape the sight of Rinlani's spirit. When Rinlani wanted to finish her off, she was blocked by the protective amulet. The next day, Hongdot planned to secretly meet Tae-chin behind Chada's back. Knowing she couldn't do anything to them directly, Rinlani thought of a way to let Chada see Hongda's phone. After seeing the content inside, Chada was extremely angry. Because of that, the two of them had a fiery argument. Chada took the chance to snatch Hong's protective amulet, declaring that she didn't deserve to live in the same world as her. Gradually, Tae-chin also started to notice that Rinlani's behavior was a bit strange. For example, she broke all the mirrors in the house and he could never find her at 3 a.m. Every time he went to look for her, he found that she had returned to the room as if she had never left. The reason Rinlani broke the mirrors was because she had done too many bad things, and it was getting harder to hide her true identity. Hongdot decided to take revenge on Chada. Since Chada was a public figure, she had been in many improper relationships over the years to climb to her current position. Hongdot planned to use these clips to ruin Chada's reputation. At the press conference, Hongdot publicly released Chada's sensitive photos. In return, Chada accused her of stealing money. Actually, all of this was set up by Rinlani with the goal of making them kill each other. Since Hongdot was arrested, Carrot and his friends were afraid she would reveal that they had harmed Rinlani, so they bailed her out, drugged her, and locked her in a dark room. Rinlani's spirit also appeared frequently. Hongdot desperately tried to escape but was still taken to the rooftop by Rinlani, who mocked her, saying that someone like her wouldn't have a single true friend. Hongdot didn't believe it, so Rinlani took out a phone and told her to call those friends. If anyone was willing to come save her, she would spare her. However, with the phone in her hand, Hongdot didn't know who to call. Finally, she had to call Chada. But no matter how she apologized, Chada remained indifferent and hung up. Rinlani then gave a sinister smile. A rope appeared and wrapped around her leg, dragging her off the rooftop. A horrific scene took place, even though she kept screaming for mercy. What's it like being the husband of a ghost? Tae-chin was still being kept in the dark, while his friends around him had already found out the truth. Since seeing Rinlani's reflection through the glass, Chad had been living in fear. Finally, he gathered all his courage to tell Tae-chin the truth. Of course, Tae-chin didn't believe what Chat said. He grabbed Chada's collar and said if he dared to speak such slanderous words about Rinlani again, he would cut ties with Chat. After saying that, he walked away in anger. Right then, Rinlani appeared and threatened Chat that if he kept meddling in her business, he would pay the price. That day, Tae-chin's mother wanted him to bring Rinlani home. Chat and his friends were also there, with the goal of letting Tae-chin see the truth clearly. Tae-chin's mother personally told him that Rinlani was dead, and the person by his side was just her ghost. Tae-chin still didn't want to believe it. He thought Chat had instigated his mother to say that. Chat asked him why Rinlani didn't enter the house with him. That was because he had put a talisman in front of the door. With a bad feeling, Tae-chin stepped outside and asked Rinlani to come inside once more. Rinlani used the excuse of not feeling well and wanting to go back to the car to rest, rejecting him. Having no other choice, Tae-chin had to follow her. On this side, Carrot suggested they go dig up Rinlani's remains tonight and then cremate them, so she could never come back to harm them again. But this action was too scary. Both Tun Lathap and Chada disagreed. At this time, Fogget gently said he was willing to go with Carrot. Anyone could see what he was really thinking. That night, Tae-chin remembered Chat's words and specifically told himself to pay attention at 3 a.m. to find the answer. When he found that Rin Lani was no longer in the room, it wasn't even 3 a.m. yet. Curiously, he stepped outside to check. Those two had actually snuck out late at night to dig up the remains. Rin Lani felt it and also appeared to watch them. However, both of them were carrying protective amulets, so she could only stand and watch from a distance. Right then, as Carrot was about to pick up the remains, the protective amulet accidentally fell off. Immediately, Rin Lani seized the opportunity and intended to attack Carrot. At the critical moment, Fogget picked up the protective amulet and threw it toward her. Rin Lani was seriously injured, and those two quickly ran away. This scene was witnessed by Tae-chin. However, when he returned, he didn't expose it. When he woke up the next day, Tae-chin found the house had become a heap of ruins. Rin Lani stood in front of the table covered in spiderwebs and told him she had cooked a table full of food. Tae-chin bandaged Rin Lani's wound, then told her he had something to do outside. He went to the temple, and the head monk told him that if he insisted on staying with Rin Lani, she wouldn't leave and would even harm the people around him. The head monk advised Tae-chin to learn how to let go. When Tae-chin learned the truth that Rin Lani was dead, he went to find Chat and his friends to discuss how to find the real truth. He said he wanted to know what happened to Rin Lani and who exactly had killed her. Chat suggested finding Rin Lani to ask her clearly. Fa thought that Rin Lani wouldn't tell the truth. If she would have said it long ago instead of waiting until now. Champu suddenly remembered that Hong Dot had once gone to the abandoned house to dig something up. She thought Rin Lani's remains might be buried there. So everyone went to the abandoned house together. Rin Lani also felt it. Tae-chin told Rin Lani that he knew everything and advised her to let go of her hatred, so her soul could move on. He said he had the evidence in hand and would bring those who harmed her to justice. However, Rin Lani thought Chat and his friends had instigated Tae-chin to leave her, so she decided to finish them off herself. Just as everyone had dug up Rin Lani's body and was about to call the police, she appeared. When Rin Lani was about to grab Champu's neck, Tae-chin showed up just in time and stopped her. The next day, Chat and his friends reported it to the police, and Rin Lani's remains were excavated. Carrot and his friends were also summoned to the police station for questioning. However, due to the lack of evidence, they were released. Rin Lani's spirit went to find Fa and her friends to apologize. Fa wanted Rin Lani to tell the truth, but Rin Lani said she wanted to finish off the people who hurt her with her own hands. Carrot's protective amulet broke. He was scared Rin Lani's ghost would keep coming back for revenge, so he wanted the sorcerer to make him another one. The sorcerer said ghosts don't just hunt people for no reason. He must have done something wrong to her for this to happen. Carrot and his friends were scared the sorcerer would find out they had harmed Rin Lani, so they left quickly. The sorcerer used magic to summon Rin Lani's spirit, and asked why she was always trying to get revenge on Carrot and his friends. Rin Lani said they were the ones who harmed her and she had to settle this grudge herself, telling the sorcerer to stay out of her business. One day, Carrot tricked Champu, saying he had evidence of Rin Lani's death, then took her to an abandoned house in the suburbs to assault her. Fogget, who secretly loved Carrot, didn't want him doing something like that, so he secretly called Tae-chin. Luckily, Tae-chin got there in time to save Champu. During the struggle, Carrot accidentally hit Tae-chin in the stomach. At that dangerous moment, Rin Lani's spirit appeared, making him run away in fear. Later, Carrot found out Fogget was the one who snitched. He also found out Fogget was gay and had been in love with him all along. This creeped Carrot out and he immediately cut ties with him. Out of spite, Fogget called Champu, saying he wanted to tell her the truth about Rin Lani's death. This was all under Rin Lani's control. She even let Carrot hear Fogget's plan on purpose so they would kill each other. When Carrot heard Fogget was going to tell Tae-chin the truth, he pretended to go to his house to ask for a reconciliation. Naive Fogget believed him completely. He had originally made an appointment with Tae-chin and his friends to tell them the truth, but he cancelled it because he believed Carrot's sweet talk. Tae-chin felt something fishy about the sudden cancellation and told Champu they should go to his house no matter what. On this side, Carrot finally showed his true colors. He pulled a knife and stabbed Fogget in the stomach. Before dying, Fogget still insisted he loved Carrot. Rin Lani's spirit watched the whole thing with satisfaction. After stabbing him, Carrot hit his head to steal the protective amulet from his neck. When Tae-chin and his friends arrived, they only found Fogget dead. Then something strange happened. Could Fogget turn into a ghost and come back for revenge too? It turned out it was just a dream. What a relief. Tae-chin and his friends felt they needed to go back to the crime scene to look for evidence. But when they got there, all the doors were locked. Just as they were stuck, the locks suddenly opened by themselves. Even though it felt very weird, they decided to go in and search for evidence first. However, after looking for a while, they still found no clues. At this time, Chada's young eye saw Fogget's ghost. This time, he put aside his fear and followed the ghost. Following the ghost's lead, Chat went to the bathroom and found a diary. Fogget had a habit of writing in a diary. He had recorded the entire incident of harming Rin Lani in there. Carrot had been dreaming about Fogget lately. Worried that he left evidence at the scene, Carrot snuck back. Unexpectedly, He ran into Tae-chin and his friends and heard their conversation. He also saw the diary in Tae-chin's hand. Tae-chin also learned the truth about Rinlani's wrongful death through the diary. Didn't know what was in the diary but was afraid it would be bad for him. So he and his friends went to the sorcerer for help. The sorcerer used magic to send a ghost to see the contents of the diary. Then he said cryptically that it was just a normal notebook. And his friends breathed a sigh of relief. But it didn't stop there. The sorcerer hinted that there was one page about something that could cost them their lives. The sorcerer used his magic slave to see the diary, then used it to blackmail them, demanding 5 million from and his friends to trade for the diary. Tae-chin gave the diary to Champu, saying that if he kept it, he wouldn't be able to stop himself from reading it over and over. The girl he loved most had suffered too much. Champu said she would hand the diary over to the police tomorrow. But life is unpredictable. On the way back, Champu got chest pains and got out of the car to buy medicine. Right then, the sorcerer's slave stole the diary. That evening, Tae-chin went to find Rinlani and told her he knew about all her suffering and hoped she could let go of her hate and move on to her next life soon. He said he had the evidence and would bring the killers to justice. The sorcerer used magic to trap Rinlani's soul in a bottle, intending to make her his slave. And his friends prepared the money for the sorcerer to trade for the diary. The greedy sorcerer then pulled out the bottle with Rinlani's soul, saying that if they gave him another 10 million, he would destroy it. If they didn't want to pay, he could let her out once in a while to get revenge on them. And his friends had to agree. After going back, they immediately burned the diary and planned to kill the sorcerer. First, they had Lada use her looks to seduce the sorcerer and break his magic power. By the time the master realized it, it was too late. Lathat pulled a gun and shot the sorcerer dead. Took the chance to grab the bottle with Rinlani's soul, then buried the sorcerer's body and Rinlani's soul in the same spot. Lately, Tae-chin kept hearing Rinlani calling for help. Rinlani told him she was trapped in a bottle by but she didn't know where. That night, Tae-chin proactively approached Lada and found out from her where the soul was buried. To get what he wanted, Tae-chin didn't hesitate to pretend to be intimate with Lada. Found out Lada spilled the secret and slapped her hard. He wanted to keep hitting her but his friend stopped him. Since it was already done, he decided to kill Tae-chin. When Tae-chin and his friends drove to the burial site, another car suddenly rushed up, and some masked men got out and started shooting at them. Based on the body shape, it was definitely and his gang. Chad and his friends eventually found the bottle sealing Rinlani's soul. Coincidentally, Lathat showed up from behind with a gun. Chad panicked and dropped the bottle, breaking it and freeing Rinlani. This time it was Lathat's turn to kneel and beg for mercy. Rinlani was about to strike but felt Tae-chin was in danger, so she immediately vanished to find him. On this side, when pointed his gun at Tae-chin to pull the trigger, Rinlani's spirit appeared just in time. With just one look, the gun fell to the ground and fell over in fear. Then with another look, Lada tripped and hit her head on a metal bar nearby, dying instantly. Now only Lathat and were left. Lathat was quite a coward. He knelt on the ground begging Rinlani to spare his life. He said he was forced that was the one who actually killed Rinlani, and if she wanted to kill someone it should be Seeing that Rinlani was still unmoved, Lathat said he could help her kill himself. After saying that, he picked up a piece of wood and beat until he was unconscious. Lathat smiled flattery and asked Rinlani if she could spare him now. Rinlani gave a sinister smile and said she wanted his life. Knowing that explaining wouldn't help, Lathat had to run. Finally, he jumped into the water and was drowned by Rinlani. Woke up from his coma and quickly drove away, but he was trapped in the car by Rinlani and burned alive. Even though it's karma, that death was really horrific. The next day, Rinlani's spirit possessed Champu. Tae-chin asked where she wanted to go, and she replied with a weird face, "To the place we promised never to leave each other." Rinlani took Champu to a cliff and forced her to remember everything before her amnesia. Clearly, Champu did nothing wrong to Rinlani, but she blamed everything on Champu anyway, then controlled her to walk toward the cliff. When Tae-chin arrived, no matter what he said to Rinlani, it was useless. He had to risk his life and dive in. Tae-chin and Champu fell off the cliff together. Rinlani watched Tae-chin at the bottom of the cliff and cried bitterly. In the end, only she was left living in her memories. Because she committed too many crimes, even though Tae-chin was dead, she couldn't be with him. She could only stay in this world forever to pay for her sins.